flat-footed and hungry. 4 new COVID cases, a disability centre shut down as doctors push for an end to surgery bans. AFL returns fake fans at the MCG as Victorians are told they could be the last supporters allowed back into stadiums. See how a stranger saved a baby fighting for life. And a Tiger Heroes remarkable comeback, the round 2 teams first inside AFL exclusive access.
Live from Melbourne, 7 News with Peter Mitchell starts now.
Good evening. A 14-year-old boy is back with his family tonight, finally safe after 2 nights lost near the summit of Mount Disappointment in what police described as life-threatening cold. The autistic teenager was found barefoot, cold and hungry, deep in dense bushland, but just 1,500 metres from where he went missing.
Finally, Will Callahan back in the arms of his family. Alive and seemingly unharmed after 3 days lost in the bush, brought home by a mammoth community effort involving hundreds of emergency workers and volunteers.
Thank you, everyone. I'm so grateful. You're all amazing.
For Will's mum, Penny, overwhelming relief.
I didn't believe it. I just thought, I can't imagine what he's been feeling and going through.
Will was found just before midday, spotted by volunteer Ben Gibbs, just 1.5 kilometres from where he was last seen.
About 15 metres from me, just standing there. He was really angelic.
Will was barefoot, wearing just a jumper and tracksuit pants.
He wasn't shivering too bad. He didn't have socks on, so I put some socks on him and a jacket, and I gave him some chocolate.
Mr Gibbs grew up in the area and knows the mountain well. He says he saw the markers made by searchers yesterday and on instinct travelled deeper into the bush.
I'm the one who stumbled across him, but everybody found him. All of the volunteers and all of the search and rescue.
The effort was extraordinary. Police, SES, CFA, Bush Rescue, search and rescue dogs, and dozens of ordinary Victorians searching, simply wanting to help.
If that happened to me or something happened like that to my brother or something, I'd like people to come out and look for him, or myself.
But this was no ordinary search. Will is non-verbal and loud noises frighten him, so those in charge had to get creative. Police cars played his favourite Thomas the Tank Engine song, and while searchers bashed through the bush, local residents were asked to put out Vegemite, feta cheese and water, and cook onion and bacon.
We're using everything we can to try to draw William out.
By this morning, Will had spent 2 nights out in the bitterly cold air.
I'm not really the praying type, but, I'm praying now because I want him home.
Police searched from the air, but the thick bush was against them. This gives you an idea of the conditions faced by searchers. Just next to a clearing, the undergrowth in this bush quickly becomes so dense that within just a few seconds you virtually disappear from view. But just before lunchtime, the numbers paid off. With hundreds searching, finally one found the boy they were looking for.
Well done!
Will's first request after 3 days in the bush, McDonald's. And for a huge group of searchers, joy.
We couldn't have done it without the assistance of everyone. What an amazing community, and just goes to show you what can happen, when everyone gets together, pulls together as a team.
Will has been taken to hospital for a checkup and his mum is planning some quiet family time.
I'd like to take him on a holiday, I think.
Penny Callahan, a very relieved mum tonight. Will is the eldest of her 2 sons. Both of them have autism, and Penny and Will have both shown extraordinary resilience and courage during this ordeal over the past couple of days. This area might be known as Mount Disappointment, but today it was a sight of joy and a genuine sense of community spirit, with Victorians coming together to help reunite this family. Mitch.
Fantastic story. Thank you very much, Laurel Irving. Now to Paul Dowsley at the Royal Children's Hospital. And Paul, he's getting the best possible care there.
Yes, Mitch, but despite his ordeal, he really doesn't need it. He's in such good shape that he won't be here for long. He arrived about 3 hours ago in the back of an ambulance with his mum Penny by his side, his stepdad Nathan in the passenger seat with him under police escort. We understand that he indicated he wanted McDonald's, but first, of course, he needed to be assessed, and his doctors have described his condition as quite incredible and say he is doing remarkably well.
He's got a couple of abrasions on his feet and 1 or 2 on his face or ear, but other than that, he's looking pretty good. We're just finishing our assessment off in the emergency department, just tidying up a few things and making sure that we don't miss anything. But as expected, we think he should hopefully be able to go home later this evening.
He's managed to not get hypothermic, probably because he's an active young man. Children are often a lot more resilient than us adults.
Would doctors allow him to have McDonald's as per we understand his wishes?
I think given what's happened to him, I'm sure you can have a special treat.
And that treat might come here. There's a McDonald's at the hospital. Maybe it'll come on the way home. But Mitch, one thing is for sure, what he and his family are going to love is climbing into a warm, soft bed tonight.
My word, he will. Thank you very much indeed, Paul. Paul Dowsley reporting. The MCG is in the final stages of preparing for the relaunch of the 2020 AFL season. Blake Johnson is across the latest, and Blake, the first bounce is just 25 hours away.
Well, Pete, the players are ready to return to the MCG, but it'll be a while before the fans can do the same. However, take a look at these pictures just in from the news helicopter. They show what we can expect to see tomorrow night. At one end, you've got cardboard cutouts of Collingwood members and fans. At the other end, Richmond banners. They are already in place at either end of the MCG for the resumption of footy tomorrow night. Some very lucky fans in Sydney and Adelaide will get to see their teams live. But unfortunately for Victorian fans, pubs and lounge rooms are really going to be the only option. We're hearing tonight that Victorian fans may be the last in the country to see their teams live. In Adelaide, 2,200 people are allowed in to see this week's showdown. In Sydney, 350 at both AFL matches there. Here, empty stadiums. Watching your team live in Victoria is at least 2 weeks away. Would you feel comfortable going to a footy match at the moment?
Oh, no doubt.
Collingwood legend Tony Shaw supports state government restrictions, but says common sense tells us small crowds here are possible.
Richmond, if they've got 100,000 fans and they have 10 games of the 17 at home, somehow 10,000 can get in, and we can isolate them in certain ways, in bays and whatever.
We won't be rushed into making a decision here. We will be taking the advice of the Chief Health Officer.
Queensland is considering a return to crowds next weekend.
It's interesting to think there'll be more people in the Big Brother house tonight than there will be at the MCG to see Collingwood v Richmond.
A survey of more than 500 epidemiologists shows sport events, concerts and theatre shows are the last activities they'd return to. 64% would wait at least 1 year.
The MCG is way bigger, so why is it a risk at the MCG and not in Sydney and Adelaide?
Look, every jurisdiction's making their own decisions based on their assessment of risk.
Blake Johnson, 7 News.
And we have breaking news on the Richmond-Collingwood game tonight. Tom Brown has the details. Tom, the players will stage a show of support for the Black Lives Matter movement.
Mitch, this is a player-driven move tonight. The stars of the game want to show their support for Black Lives Matter tomorrow night. Now, details are being worked on as we speak. This came up on a conference call between the AFL and the club bosses just a short time ago. The AFL is very supportive. Collingwood and Richmond confirming the story to 7 News, saying it's not a protest, but rather a show of support. Now, I understand the Indigenous players floated it at the Tigers. Senior players very supportive there. Collingwood getting right behind the idea. The gesture itself is being worked on tonight. One option, players taking to a knee or gathering in a circle. The league insists there'll be no interruption to the actual game, but as I mentioned, they're supportive. They've also told me, Mitch, a short time ago, it's likely the initiative will carry over into Friday night and hopefully with momentum into the weekend itself. It's a developing story, Mitch.
Tom Brown, thank you. There are calls for elective surgery to be rebooted earlier than planned as COVID cases continue to remain low. There were just a handful of new cases reported today, including one at a Bayside Disability Services Centre.
The Scope Disability Services Centre closed for a 2-day clean after a client tested positive.
Any client or staff member will be required to go into that 14-day isolation period, and as a precaution, everyone will be tested as well.
Overnight, there were 4 new cases, 1 from the Ridges cluster. 9 are in hospital. And now a serious virus side effect. People are too scared or preoccupied to have tests and treatment for other illnesses.
We should not lose track of our other personal health care needs. So please get that lump checked out. Please get that screening done.
Saji overcame his initial COVID fears to have prostate cancer tests and surgery at the height of the pandemic. That saved his life.
If I waited another 6-7 months, would have been a completely different story.
And the Health Minister also confirmed the government will stick to its original plan. Our hospitals will not return to their full capacity for elective surgery until the end of July. With wards dedicated to coronavirus sitting empty, demands for a major elective surgery blitz now.
For patients waiting for elective surgery, they are in significant pain, significant functional capacity restrictions.
The list is only growing. So we need to do something about it. It just makes sense to clear the backlog now.
Nick McCallum, 7 News.
A psychotic killer will spend more than 2 decades behind bars for smothering his girlfriend to death. The young nurse had just recovered from a brain tumour when she was killed.
Caitlin O'Brien survived brain surgery but was killed by her boyfriend. Just home from hospital, she was smothered with a pillow, then strangled with tracksuit pants. Shay Sturt then walked into Flinders Street Station and told police what he had done.
She was just marvellous. She's emphatic. She's just a vibrant person.
The 31-year-old nurse was also terrified her partner was going to hurt her. She was right.
You told police you had been manic for a couple of days prior to the killing, that movies and music were telling you that you were God and that Ms. O'Brien was the devil.
Today, Sturt was jailed for 22 years with a minimum of 16.
She would have wanted him to get better. She would have wanted him to get help. And I really hope that he does that.
Ms. O'Brien's family hope her legacy will be her commitment to helping others. They'll now pair with the Alfred Hospital where she worked to support nursing charities.
We just really encourage people to get behind that.
Chanel Vella, 7 News.
Australia is copping another backlash from China tonight, with Beijing warning its students not to come here to study because of racism. The fallout puts extra pressure on our universities, already under severe financial strain because of the coronavirus pandemic.
Another salvo fired from Beijing, and this time our universities are the target.
Well, we disagree with it. Australia is an open and welcoming country. We are very popular with international students.
A communique from China's Ministry of Education describing discriminatory incidents against Asians, warning Chinese nationals to be cautious in choosing to study in Australia.
And they're really hoping that the universities are going to try and engage with our government to change policy. And yes, the short word for that is it's bullying.
This adding to a series of measures taken by China against Australia, including barley tariffs and blocking beef imports. International students, a lucrative source of income for our unis, under increasing financial pressure due to the coronavirus. From Sydney's UNSW, which fears a third of its $2 billion budget is at risk, we look forward to welcoming all of our students back to campus as soon as the travel restrictions allow them to. It could be argued fewer Chinese students will mean more places for local applicants, but the reality is very different. Often the high fees paid by international students subsidises the cost of courses.
Chinese students are very welcome in Australia.
Cameron Price, 7 News.
4 federal Labor MPs have been tested for coronavirus and are self-isolating after attending protests over the weekend. The opposition leader says they won't return to Parliament until their results come back.
Among the crowds of the Black Lives Matter rallies, 4 Labor MPs, Senator Malarndirri McCarthy, Warren Snowden, Graham Perrott and Annika Wells, all today leaving Parliament to be tested for coronavirus.
They've gone off and got tested out of an abundance of caution. That's a reasonable thing for them to do.
He'd implored people not to join the rallies.
I made my position on the protest very clear.
All 4 are self-isolating, expecting results tomorrow. None has symptoms. Green Senator Janet Rice was at the Melbourne rally.
I'm following the advice of the Chief Medical Officer, who said that it wasn't necessary to self-isolate.
More concerned about being infected in Parliament.
You're a bit closer to me, actually.
And Scott Morrison has delivered his strongest plea to the Premiers yet to reopen state borders by next month.
Ensuring that our economies can open up.
Reminding the Premiers, National Cabinet has agreed to resuming interstate travel as part of the 3-stage easing of restrictions.
Now, the 3-step process ensures that that is intended to be completed in July, and we look forward to that being completed in July.
As Labor's Jim Chalmers lampoons Scott Morrison's political catch cry,
if you have a go, you get a go. Well, now he's saying to so many workers, you've had a go, now off you go to Centrelink.
Apparently,
he has demonstrated, I think, a great deal of immaturity. Mr. Speaker,
getting under the Prime Minister's skin. Mark Riley, 7 News.
Well, the teams are in for tomorrow night's Collingwood-Richmond blockbuster to reignite the footy season, and that headline sport with Jackie Felgate. Good evening, Jackie.
Hello, Mitch. Yes, footy's feel-good story tonight is Jack Higgins. He's back in Richmond's team after 2 bouts of brain surgery. Chief Football reporter Mark Stevens has access to the teams. And, Steve-O, what a comeback this is.
Jackie, a wonderful story. Bleeding on the brain last year, Jack Higgins' career in doubt. Insiders feared that he would get back tomorrow night. He plays against the Magpies.
Hey guys, excited to play tomorrow night. Can't wait for it. Been a long time coming, so yeah, can't wait.
Any brain injury is significant and quite scary in nature, and there was a chance that he mightn't be able to play again, but his doctors and his surgeons done a wonderful job allowing that to happen.
Now, Higgins comes in for Josh Caddy. Had some calf soreness, didn't train today, so he misses. At Collingwood, 1 change. Darcy Cameron comes in for Mason Cox. Jackie.
OK, thank you, Steve-O. And the footy fairy tales continue with Harley Bennell set to make his Demons debut.
24. But there is one more guy that's going to play his first game, and it's Harley Bennell.
Plus, we're back live to the G to find out how the Pies and the Tigers fared in their scratch match. Why an NRL star is in quarantine after kissing a journalist on the cheek. And we've got breaking news on Roger Federer's fitness. Sadly, it is not good news, Mitch.
Don't like to hear that. No. Thank you, Jackie. Our pubs are fighting back from the pandemic. Next, the plan to help them get back into business soon. Also, how a night at the museum backfired for a selfie-taking history lover. How a stranger became a saviour as a baby fought for life. And a tourist favourite coming out of hibernation just in time for the school holidays.
Seven News, brought to you by Industry Superfunds.
I suddenly realised we're all in this together.
That feels especially true, given what's going on. It is good to know that our super will help us and our economy bounce back. And if you're with one of these, your super is invested in things that create jobs and keep Aussie businesses strong, delivering good long-term returns that benefit all of us. After all,
we're all in this together.
They're coming.
Oh my God!
Descending from the heavens. Another 4 housemates.
What is going on here?
And some are not impressed.
He will dominate every challenge. I'm scared of that.
Tonight, a new challenge and a new eviction.
You flirting with me again?
No.
Okay, sorry.
New Big Brother, tonight, 7:30 on 7.
Hey, you there. Powerball has jackpotted to $8 million. Get moving. Grab your ticket now.
Play now in-store at thelot.com or on the Lot app.
Everyone knows Volkswagen drivers expect a little more. Volkswagen.
Needs a friend.
For the sake of those around you, eat a bit more Aussie fruit, veg and nuts. It's the good mood food.
Chloe and Zoe are twins and Amy customers, so you have the same taste.
We love our HD, LED, LCD, 4K, Pixel TVs. Oh, and Barney and Rubble love the dog channel.
Do you choose to save now or later on your insurance?
Later.
Buy a home or car insurance policy and Amy Flexi Premiums lets you vary your excess to save now or later. Choose a higher excess to save now or choose a lower excess to save at claim time.
You're with Amy.
Introducing BP Rewards. Earn BP points to spend in store.
BP Rewards.
Or get dollars off fuel.
BP Rewards.
Or choose to earn Qantas points.
Totally BP Rewards.
Start earning today. Your rewards, your way.
We are Regional Australia.
We are winemakers.
We are coffee roasters.
Fashion designers.
Potters.
Bakers.
Shopkeepers.
We're asking for your support because the wine is pouring.
The kiln is firing. And we're open for business.
Because where you shop matters.
Discover how Visa's network connects regional businesses to customers across Australia and the world.
Tasty, affordable and delicious. What's for dinner in the next break with Coles?
Victoria's pubs are pushing for social distancing limits to be slashed and for drinkers to be allowed back to the bar. It's feared some hotels may not survive under the new rules and customers aren't happy either.
It's a moment worthy of fanfare. A reopening ceremony and a nationwide pub crawl celebrating patrons returning to pubs.
They've been the first to close, the last to reopen, and we're just trying to get excitement about people getting back into their local pubs.
But not quite yet. Customers must have a meal if they want a drink and can't go to the bar. For some pubs, that's not viable, with little relief when restrictions are next eased.
Lifting the patron limit to 50 per enclosed area is totally irrelevant unless we reduce the one person per 4 square metre rule.
Hotels now lobbying the government to halve distancing rules and allow drinkers back at the bar.
We need to change it in line with other states so that we've got one person per 2 square metres and allow more customers back in the door.
First, publicans had to teach staff the COVID rules, and now the challenge is educating drinkers who are frustrated by the restrictions.
Just dropping into the pub without a plan, we can't do that at the moment. Everyone has to have something to eat.
Many pubs are now in survival mode, but trying to be optimistic.
We're going to have to put up with being at 30-40% of our normal trade for a little while.
Louisa Cheatley, 7 News.
A German student has been fined $500 for a night at the museum. Paul Kuhn broke into the Australian Museum for a self-guided midnight tour, even taking selfies with his head inside a dinosaur skull. The 25-year-old was given a 12-month community corrections order. He's now returned a staff member's hat he wore during the escapade and apologised to the museum, saying he was drunk. A mother has relived the terrifying minutes she thought her baby boy was dying. The 7-month-old was battling to breathe and turning blue when a quick-thinking stranger stepped in and saved his life.
A moment of sheer panic.
Does anyone know first aid?
I know first aid. A baby struggling to breathe.
Let me hold it.
And a stranger who became a saviour. When 7-month-old Tyler Stiles suddenly started crying and turning blue, Mum Sharon ran for help. The closest place, a land sales centre where Brett Weinbrecht was working. CCTV shows the young father grab Tyler, flip him onto his stomach and deliver 3 sharp blows to his back. With Mum and sister looking on in panic, Brett was able to clear the baby's airway.
When a child's choking, time is you've got to react very quickly. So, I'm just happy I was here.
Phlegm and vomit had stopped Tyler breathing. And although she'd done 3 first aid courses before, Sharon froze.
With the emotion of your own child, when you're in the midst of it, you can't think of anything. You just run.
She ran to the right place. Brett had recently completed emergency medical training of his own and took over. Tyler has fully recovered and won't remember any of this. But Sharon and Brett will never forget.
Say thank you.
Rob Scott, 7 News.
Another major Victorian tourist attraction is set to reopen. Sovereign Hill will be back in business from June the 27th, just in time for the school holidays. It has been closed for almost 3 months because of COVID-19. Visitor numbers will be capped at 1,000 a day. Jane Bunn joins us now for an early look at the weather. And Jane, the sunny days seem to keep on coming.
Mitch, they do begin with a chilly sunrise, but it feels pretty nice in the afternoon sun. In the past week, we've had no rain at all. And in the next week, there's 5 millimetres at most. We may see nothing. This is quite a change. We were on track to have our wettest year on record. So what's happened to the rain? There's 2 culprits. The first is a positive phase of the southern annular mode. Now that means that the rainy cold fronts pass down to our south. The other culprit is a long way away, but a big influence. We've gone back into a positive IOD. That also drives the rain away from us. But these phases won't last forever. Both those culprits should flip back to negative to help it rain in July. So we don't need the umbrella much now, but we will need it again soon. I'll have more after sport, Mitch.
Thank you, Jane. We'll see you then. The Ruby Princess fiasco has delivered some new shocks. Next, hear why passengers were allowed to leave the ship at the centre of a COVID scandal. Also, what happened to $300,000 missing from a massive Melbourne gold robbery. A message from the heart as George Floyd is laid to rest.
Someone said, "Make America great again." But when has America ever been great?
And a warning to women ignoring a health time bomb.
The footy is back. And it starts with a Thursday night blockbuster.
You can't ask for more than that.
These 2 teams, everyone here knows the history.
Goes to another level. It's hard to get your head around it.
Both teams absolutely desperate.
Is this his big moment?
Oh boy, here comes the pressure.
That's unbelievable!
Collingwood and Richmond headline the season return.
Magnificent.
Starting Thursday. Go to the footy. Live and free on 7.
Hi everyone, Courtney Ralston here, sharing another one of my favourite recipes with you from my home. Now I've got a spring in my step because this week the footy is back. Now for me, one of the best things to enjoy while watching the game is the good old Aussie beef pie. My delicious pie uses great value, everyday ingredients. This pie will easily feed 8 people and at around $3 per serve, it is fantastic value. All right, to kick things off, we need to heat some extra virgin olive oil in a pan, and I've got a large brown onion that I've just diced up, 3 or 4 carrots that I've just grated up. While the carrots are cooking off, I'm just going to run some celery through the grater as well. Give that a good season with some salt. All right, celery, onion, carrots are all softened down, smelling delicious. Just going to transfer them into my actual pie tin here. So I've got a couple of packs of Coles beef mince. Great value for a pie, and I'm making a big pie because there's nothing better than leftover pie the next day. So I've got a kilo of beef mince. I'm going to put a good seasoning of black pepper in because I love black pepper in my pie. Give it a little pinch of sea salt, break up the beef until it's beautiful and browned off. About 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. Now if you're asking what makes this an Aussie beef pie, I've got a secret little ingredient, and that is some Vegemite. All right, a couple of other key ingredients, some Worcestershire sauce. We need some corn flour, and this is going to kind of thicken down and give us that beautiful gravy that we love in a pie. All right, I'm now going in with about 1.5 cups of beef stock. Look at that, our little filling is blipping away over here. It is smelling so good. So our celery, onion, carrots goes back in with the mince. That's it. All I need to do now is to transfer our mixture into our pie tin. And we're going to let it cool slightly before we put on our pastry. Tuck in our corners. So I've just got a beaten up egg, and I'm just going to brush this over our pastry. poke a little hole in the top of the pastry. All right, now my oven is set at 200 degrees. This is going to take around 25-30 minutes until you see that beautiful golden crust on the pie. Let's dig into that pastry. Look at that. I've got some peas just for some greenery, and I've got some homemade ketchup. You guys are gonna love this one, I promise. For this and loads more What's for Dinner recipes, head over to coles.com.au, and as always, go the Swans.
A gold shop worker accused of being the inside man on a massive robbery is fighting to get out of jail on bail. He's one of two charged over the $3.9 million theft, but police have revealed that hundreds of thousands are still missing.
It's one of the largest gold heists in Australia's history. $3.9 million in bullion and cash stolen from the Melbourne Gold Company in April. Gold shop worker Daniel Eadie had claimed he'd been robbed at gunpoint by this man, Carl Kachami. The loot buried at a rural property in Gippsland, appropriately called Dollar. But as detectives dug deeper, they allege it was all a setup. Eadie and Kachami conspiring to pull off the heist. Days after his co-accused arrest, Eadie bought a Melways from the Leongatha news agency and asked a local for directions to Dollar, telling her he was there to dig around. $300,000 of the money is still missing. Eadie's wife told today's bail hearing the couple have no money to pay their son's school fees. Do you think your husband concocted this plan? Kachami will also apply for bail tomorrow. Tegan Dolling, 7 News.
There are new shocks in the Ruby Princess scandal tonight, with revelations that passengers were allowed to leave the ship before tests came back because they were in a hurry to catch flights. Health authorities admitted they didn't think the ship posed much of a risk.
In a stunning admission, officials today admitted they assumed the COVID-19 risk on Ruby Princess was low to medium because there were no confirmed cases on board.
If you can't confirm a case of COVID on board, why is that a reason for still considering it a medium risk rather than a high risk? In other words, why wouldn't you just make the assumption?
Well, I don't think we were assuming that it could not be COVID-19.
The department's top biosecurity officer came under intense pressure for not treating the ship as a potential coronavirus outbreak, saying it was reasonable to let passengers off as many had planes to catch.
Why didn't you just tell them? Then we're going to have to swab all these people now. It's possible that some had recovered.
That's a pure speculation, isn't it?
It is.
That's not a serious public health response, is it? Did you give any consideration to swabbing people there and then?
What we first do is assess the level of risk, and we assessed it as low risk.
The overdue Health Department report into the Ruby Princess is still marked draft, confidential, and is unsigned. Commissioner Walker accused Dr Tobin and health officials who wrote the report of engaging in spin, describing it as dishonesty designed to obscure the truth. Brian Seymour, 7 News.
His death sparked global protests, and today George Floyd was finally laid to rest in the US city of Houston. The man his family knew as Big Floyd was remembered as leaders pledged to fight in his name for change.
Voices raised in song for the one who cried out for his life.
What's his name?
From loved ones, a final goodbye.
I just want to say to him, I love you, and I thank God for giving me my own personal Superman.
The Houston church packed for a celebration of his life and a call to action.
No more hate crimes, please. Someone said, make America great again. But when has America ever been great?
Until we know the price for black life is the same as the price for white life, we're going to keep coming back to these situations.
While the nation mourned, Donald Trump sparked outrage, tweeting a conspiracy theory about a 75-year-old protester knocked to the ground by police, pushed away after appearing to scan police communications in order to black out the equipment. Could be a setup. Martin Gugino suffered a serious head injury, just now out of intensive care, as America looked to a golden coffin on its final journey. Moments before he died, George Floyd called out for his mother, and today was laid to rest beside her. In the United States, Paul Kadak, 7 News.
Virgin Airline administrators are asking for money from the federal government, saying they're worried bidders might walk away. They want a 6-month extension to JobKeeper payments for almost 10,000 workers. They also want Canberra to guarantee Virgin tickets. It seems even suffering a heart attack isn't enough to shock many Australians into looking after their cholesterol. A landmark study has found many patients are not taking the threat seriously, and women are most at risk.
After suffering a heart attack, Sophie Henderson needed to lower her cholesterol. But healthy eating, exercise and even quitting smoking was the easy part.
I was prescribed a lot of medications, like all of a sudden I had, 8 tablets in my hand.
Sophie didn't always take her medication or visit the doctor, resulting in a second heart attack in her early 50s. New research says her complacency is very common.
80% of people started on a cholesterol-lowering medication, but only about 50% of them reached the target level.
The study found we're good at treating heart attacks, but not at preventing them from recurring.
I think there may be a belief that somebody's had a problem and they've started on a cholesterol-lowering medication, that's all that needs to be done.
Levels need to be continuously monitored by patients and their doctor. Experts say more than 3,500 lives could be saved if Australians kept on top of their cholesterol levels, as well as $66.6 million in healthcare costs. For Sophie, that means extra time with her growing family.
And I'm really, really keen to be around for my next 2 children to have their children.
Jodie Lee, 7 News.
Our banks are raking in billions, refusing to pass interest rate cuts to credit cards. Next, what you can do to turn the tables and make some savings. Also anger after vandals destroy newly planted trees. Why women are drinking more than men during the lockdown. And Prince Philip celebrates his 99th birthday, so why are there questions about this photo?
The boys are back.
I'm going to show you a clip which involves Collingwood fans. A warning, there is graphic content here, and children, you may want to leave the room. Collingwood fans, not a mince meeting.
New front bar tonight on 7.
But to do, all this here's got to be painted again. Gee. I lowered all my door frames by 2 feet, just as an epic reminder that Aldi are having their special buys.
You can't miss that.
Hey, precisely.
Turn your doorway into an epic reminder for this Saturday and get a clothes dryer for $249, a stainless steel dishwasher for $299 and a bar fridge for $99.99. Only at Aldi. Good. Different.
There's a glass and a half in everyone.
This end of financial year, get the Hyundai Tucson with style, impressive performance and intuitive technology. Now with a $1,000 bonus. Hyundai's end of financial year sale. See it to believe it.
Are you working? I work here. Boy, what is it you want to do?
If you have the will, we have the way. Bank of Melbourne.
If you've been injured, talk directly to a lawyer, not a call centre. If you don't win, there's no fee. Call Arnold Thomas and Becker, specialising in injury compensation for over 50 years.
Let's do it, baby. It's on, mate.
Make this Saturday one to remember. Get best tote on all exotics on every race across all Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane and Adelaide races. PointsBet.
If you're ready to step into your first home, Simmons have 72,000 reasons to do it now. Because with us, you can get up to a massive $72,000 towards it. This includes the $35,000 now available to first home buyers who qualify for the government grants, plus up to $37,000 of Simmons upgrades for no extra cost. And for all other home buyers, the time is now too, with up to $37,000 of Simmons upgrades included at no extra cost. Don't miss this amazing opportunity. Start your journey with Simmons today.
With Aldi's Aussie Navel Oranges high in vitamin C, it's like a vitamin C invasion. Navel Oranges, now on sale at Aldi. Aldi, good, different.
Vandals have destroyed a row of elm trees which had just been planted at the Williamstown Botanic Gardens. 4 of the young trees were snapped at the trunk. A large section of the grounds has been closed over the past 12 months for upgrades. As suspected drinking rates have soared since the COVID-19 pandemic began, the biggest increase is among women who've taken on extra childcare duties, with a rise in alcohol consumption of more than 20%. 18% of men also say they're drinking more. Australia's banks have been slammed for continuing to charge high interest rates on credit cards. Consumer advocate Choice estimates that in the past decade, they've cost customers an extra $6 billion.
While the official cash rate has fallen to a record low 0.25%, credit card rates remain stubbornly high, some well over 20%. Choice claims the difference means $6.3 billion has been lifted from our pockets over the last decade.
Most people are confused about how credit cards work, and banks take advantage of that confusion.
He says it's disappointing for an industry that should be winning our trust after a scathing Royal Commission. While the cash rate has fallen 1.75% since 2016, many cards rates have gone up, some by 2% or more, several now charging over 20%. Experts say people need to focus on that rate.
People are buying premium cards for the frequent flyer points rather than paying attention to the interest rate.
Banks argue that credit cards are effectively unsecured loans and assume a higher risk for the lender.
The banks insist the credit card market is fiercely competitive. They say the more expensive cards offer features like travel insurance or rewards. But if you don't want these extras, there are rates as low as 10%.
And more grief. Slater and Gordon today launching class action against the Commonwealth over junk credit card and personal loan insurance. The law firm says the policies were worthless and customers should get their money back. Gemma Acton, 7 News.
Prince Philip is spending his 99th birthday in low-key fashion at Windsor Castle. Buckingham Palace has released a rare photo to celebrate the milestone. Her Majesty and the Duke have been living there during the pandemic. It's believed the photo was taken last week, but keen observers have noticed the Queen's hands appear to be photoshopped. There's no official explanation as to why. Sport is next with Jackie Felgate. And Jackie, footy's back at the G tonight.
Oh, yes, Mitch, it is. It's like an entree to tomorrow night's main course. It's a lockout event, but that won't stop us from finding out how the Pies and Tigers are faring in their scratch match. Plus, find out which Bombers stars didn't train just 4 days out from their clash. Hawk Jager O'Meara pushes his case to play the Cats. And the kiss on the cheek that's landed an NRL star in hot water.
We love being surprised. We love acts we've never seen before. Without people like you, we have no show.
This is what I want to see when I watch America's Got Talent.
We weren't expecting that.
Does your mother know you do this?
Gotta blow us away.
It's awesome on steroids.
You blew the roof off.
New America's Got Talent, next Wednesday on 7.
When the road calls, here's the very best way to answer. The BMW X3 S-Drive 20i from $69,900 drive away. Joy is coming.
Beat the cold at Harvey Norman with the best in heating and air treatment solutions. Stay warm this winter with our range of ceramic, radiant and fan heaters, convection, column and panel heaters, the latest in gas and electric flame effect models, heated throws and electric blankets, plus a huge range of reverse cycle air conditioners. Treat the air quality in your home with everything from air purifiers to humidifiers. Harvey Norman has all the big brands at great prices. Visit us in store or online. Harvey Norman, your heating and air treatment specialist.
Go!
What can you get at Kogan.com? You can order pizza, cook pizza, wear pizza, hug pizza, swim with pizza, sleep with pizza. Okay, too much pizza. Get it quick smart at Kogan.com.
Fibre helps feed the good bacteria in your gut. That's why with Kellogg's range of fibre cereals, millions of Aussies are helping the good bacteria in their gut to thrive. Is your gut fibre fit?
With AGL, get up to $100 to spend with prepaid MasterCard. That's $50 for electricity and $50 for gas, just for signing up your home energy with AGL online. Only available at agl.com.au.
You're relying on our network more, so we're accelerating the rollout of Telstra 5G, giving more people and businesses access to fast download speeds in more places than ever.
Can't wait to get back to the footy. Oh, there's been a spill. He picks up the crumbs, goes left, goes right. He's done it back in the bathroom.
Hot food, just $3 at 7-Eleven.
Switch gives you the power to pick your promo. This Saturday, choose whether to double your winnings or get bonus back if your horse finishes second or third in races 1 to 4 at Eagle Farm, Rose Hill and Moonee Valley. Ladbrokes, back yourself. Take a punt on the AFL season return with a Ladbrokes early payout offer. Place a bet on the head-to-head market, and if your team leads by 6 points or more at half-time, you win. Ladbrokes, back yourself.
Welcome back. A Richmond Premiership star is on the outer as clubs adjust to the new shortened game. Returning to Chief Football reporter Mark Stevens. Stevo, no room for Toby Nankervis tomorrow night.
Well, Jackie Nankervis has won 2 flags, such a key player in this dominant era of Richmond, but has been dropped for tomorrow night's clash with Collingwood. He's running around in a practice game here tonight. Behind me, a lockout, a game behind closed doors. The Tigers are going in tomorrow night with Ivan Soldo to take on Brodie Grundy. So it's a one-man ruck show. The Tigers in some way today indicating that Nankervis under the pump as an old-fashioned type ruckman in a new strange era of footy.
Yeah, obviously we'll at this stage just go with the one bona fide ruck in Ivan. You know, we feel that with the game, the way it is at the moment being probably heavily dynamic, it's probably going to lend itself for what we can see to one genuine ruck and a pinch hitting ruck, which will either be a key forward or some other mechanism we have in place.
Now, Magpie Jaden Stevenson also playing in the practice game, still couldn't force his way into the AFL scene, but he hasn't lost his sense of fun. The cardboard cutouts are making their debut at the MCG tonight, a bit of a test run. This is Scotty Pendlebury on Stevenson.
We had a bit of an interrupted prep, so I've got no doubt his best football is good enough to be in our best side, but at the moment I think with Geordie, Billy up and about and Stevo playing a little bit of catch up, that he just needs to get some form, get some runs under his belt.
Now, there will be a lot of these practice games throughout the year. They'll all be behind closed doors and they won't be under match review regulations. So the players will have to be on their best behaviour, Jackie.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Stevo. Demons debutant Harley Bennell admits he still has doubt over his injury-riddled body but can't wait to reignite his career on Saturday. The Melbourne recruit describes coach Simon Goodwin as a father figure and is desperate to repay the faith.
After more than 1,000 days in the footy wilderness, Harley Bennell is officially back.
But there is one more guy that's going to play his first game, and it's Harley Bennell.
The emotions spilling over for the 27-year-old, the third chapter set to begin for a career that looked all but over.
Really exciting, massive relief.
Bennell's beeline for Stephen May, a sign of the bond between the two former sons. A hug too from coach Simon Goodwin.
Goody's been like a like another father for me.
After a stop-start career, ironically, Bennell credits the footy shutdown for finally getting his body right. But the doubts over countless calf setbacks still linger.
It's in the back of your mind, you know, I haven't played since 2017. I've got the right people to talk to.
The only hiccup, breaking the news to Mum.
Mum didn't answer. She said she was on the phone, but I think she was crying. I'm just looking forward to this weekend. You know, whatever happens past that happens, but this weekend is where it starts.
Draftees Luke Jackson and Trent Rivers set to make their AFL debut against the Blues. Jesse Hogan continues to turn the corner. The Dockers forward will likely take on the Lions in a scratch match at the Gabba on Saturday.
Oh, he's pumped. He's a new person around the place. He's invested in what we're doing.
Andrew McCormack, 7 News.
We have new developments on when footy fans will be able to return to grounds in Melbourne. We'll go live to Tom Brown. Tom, the state government is going all in.
Jack, when crowds return, the Victorian government doesn't want to do it in dribs and drabs. They want to do it properly, up to 10,000 fans to start with. When is up to the state government. A well-placed source saying we could be talking weeks, but a government source says at least a month. I'm told they'll wait on COVID tests from Saturday's protest in the city. Now, clubs are beginning to prepare, and the AFL is ready to go as soon as they get the green light. But up to 10,000 fans, that should be good eventually for members to get access. Meantime, Essendon Match Committee is meeting tonight. Their main session, training session, is on Friday. Dyson Heppel trained today, but underdone with his finger and foot issues. There's no guarantee for the weekend. Sources say Jake Stringer is right to go despite not training today with his persistent toe trouble.
He's had this sore toe, but we're confident that it's certainly not going to inhibit him playing. It's not really stopping him training.
And Jager O'Meara looked impressive in light drills at Hawthorn this afternoon, but didn't train fully. There's no bruising from his fractured eye socket. It's usually a 3 or 4 week injury. It's only been 2.5 weeks, so it's a tough decision for the Hawks ahead of Friday night, Jack.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Tom. Roger Federer has suffered an injury setback and won't return to the court in 2020. The 38-year-old was forced to have more surgery on his right knee. The Swiss ace says he plans to take the necessary time to be 100% ready to play at his highest level and is looking forward to seeing everyone back on tour at the start of 2021. A peck on a journalist's cheek has landed NRL star Benji Marshall in hot water. The West Tigers co-captain approached Channel 7 Chief Rugby League reporter Michelle Bishop this morning and failed to adhere to social distancing guidelines. Bishop has since been tested for COVID-19 and Marshall is in quarantine. He was thanking the reporter for a message she sent following his shock axing from Saturday's game against Canberra. Once the all clear is given, Marshall will be allowed to return to the club. And cricketers will be penalised during play if they use saliva to shine the ball. The International Cricket Council has approved rule changes in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic, with teams to be hit with a 5-run penalty for repeatedly shining the ball with saliva. And Mitch, don't forget the front bar tonight from 9 o'clock, straight after Big Brother. Special guests Maddie Richardson and Ross Oakley.
Entertaining as always. Thank you, Jackie. And to breaking news now, and the family of the father and son lost in the Tyack fire have released photos along with an appeal for financial help. Michael Lollicato and his son died in the blaze along with another man. His wife and 2 sons were injured. Jane is next with the forecast. And Jane, how does the end of the week look?
Well, Mitch, there is a bit of cloud about tomorrow, then bright sunshine returns on Friday. I'll have the details next.
Hello, I'm Michael Usher. Here's what's coming up tonight on the latest from 7 News across Victoria. Hal Williams survived 2 nights lost in freezing conditions. More on his incredible rescue. Is the Chinese public going to boycott Australia? We cross to Beijing. And from deep space to deep sea, astronaut Kathy Sullivan joins me after setting an incredible new record. That's the latest from 7 News tonight after the front bar.
This is for you, my son. What am I supposed to do? Stay.
Go on. You know you want to.
Come home to Home and Away. Weeknights on 7.
The streets are calling. Make sure you're ready to answer. The BMW 118i from 49,900 drive away. Joy is coming.
Is that yours?
Happy birthday.
Actually?
Get your kids their first phone at Optus. Visit us in-store today.
Meet the crew. They got their own way of betting. And this is me. I've always got the answer.
Make this AFL season one to remember. If your team leads at halftime, you win. That's right. Lead at halftime and we'll pay you out straight away as a winner. PointsBet.
KFC Supercoach AFL is back.
Make sure you're totally ready when it's time to present to your most important audience ever. Unlike ordinary toothpaste, Colgate Total's breakthrough formula actively fights bacteria on your teeth, tongue, cheeks and gums for 12 hours, keeping your whole mouth healthy. Colgate Total. Be totally ready for life.
This is a big moment. Hold your breath.
We should order pizza. Sports HD, drama, entertainment, and now with Netflix included. All in one place. Yours. Search Foxtel.
Pay less every day at The Good Guys. For a limited time only, this Amiga oven $448. This dishwasher only $395. These cooktops only $392 each. And over $100 off this Westinghouse oven. Plus loads more only at The Good Guys.
New U-Foods large range. Introducing 14 new large meals that are big on protein and big on taste. A size that satisfies. New large meals, now available at youfoods.com.
Hey Mum, what are we having for dinner? I don't know. What are you cooking?
Get your Woolies worth this week with great specials, like Australian RSPCA approved fresh chicken breast fillets from the deli, just $8 a kilo.
That's why I pick Woolies.
The power's in your hands and at your feet. The BMW 320i sedan from 69,900 drive away. Joy is coming.
This weather report brought to you by the BMW 3 Series.
Hello again. We had lots of sunshine in Melbourne for the second day running. Generally, it wasn't quite as cold to start as yesterday. The city began on 5 this morning. Then we reached a top of 16.7. That's our warmest day in 10 days. It was a very different day in Western Victoria. This was fog still shrouding Horsham late in the morning. That meant that 11 a.m. it was 15 degrees in Melbourne, while Horsham and Hamilton were only 6, and so was Traralgon, also under fog. But once that cleared out, there was bright sunshine and it warmed up. It was a lovely afternoon in light winds. The northwest even rose to 18. Bairnsdale reached a top of 16, but it was only 14 up in Wodonga with cloud for much of the time. A high pressure system is centred out to our east. This makes the east coast wet as moist onshore winds run right into a trough. Those winds keep on circling around that high and we're dry here. The high remains firmly in place, so the next cold front just grazes the coast tomorrow, while we see a bigger weather system come into the west. Tomorrow's front brings some cloud, but hardly any wet weather. Most of the showers will be staying well offshore all the way down there. We could all be dry. Jump ahead to the weekend and that bigger system in the west moves through here. It is a trough and it only slides through, so there's showers or light rain for the north and west. We are clipped by another front early next week. It can't do much. Most of the wet weather is stuck over the southwest of the state. So there's not as many frosty nights and sunny days ahead, but there's not a lot of rain either. It stays generally dry for the next week. Around the nation tomorrow, that high pressure system moves so not quite as wet in Brisbane and Sydney. Adelaide has another frosty start, then sunshine, but Perth could see up to 20 millimetres in showers and thunderstorms from that weather system tomorrow. To Victoria, frost affects the eastern valleys, but also this large area you can see there over in the west. So Mildura, Horsham, Hamilton, Bendigo and Ballarat could wake up to frost tomorrow. Otherwise, a widespread morning fog slowly clearing to sunshine. We have areas of cloud coming into the far south here, but the showers should stay offshore. Closer in, and there's areas of fog ahead of a partly cloudy day. So sunny at times, cloudy at others. It is a mixture. It is cold enough for frost in the outer suburbs at first. The city starts on 5 ahead of a top of 15, a mix of sun and cloud with light winds. To the 8-day outlook, there's one more chilly morning on Friday, down to 4 in the city, top of 15, we have bright sunshine. On Saturday, the cloud slowly builds. There's wet weather at night. Late at night, I wouldn't expect a lot. Gone by Sunday and then returns for Monday afternoon and evening and then back to sunshine. So a mix of sunshine and a bit of cloud around tomorrow. It is a top of 15. And with charities hit hard by the pandemic, you can still help fight multiple sclerosis by buying a ticket in the MS Dream Home Lottery. For the first time ever, 2 grand prize winners will have the ultimate choice between a $1.5 million Porter Davis house and land package or the equivalent amount in gold. Tickets are on sale online and, Mitch, I think that sounds pretty good.
Sounds like a lot of gold.
It does. How do you carry that home?
It's me, Jane. Thank you very much indeed. And that's the way it is this Wednesday, the 10th of June. Thanks for your company. For now, from the 7 News team, good night.